yes. We back. We back. We here again. We got. This is a kind of good topic because we was watching a movie. It's like a movie review, but with questions. And what was the We was watching this movie called White Tiger, and me and Son was like, "Wow, this is kind of deep." Like, what did you get from the movie, Son?
White Tiger is my movie. So if you haven't seen this is going to be full of spoilers. So either check the movie out or don't check it out because like I said, this is going to be a movie review with questions, comments and reviews because it really ties into a lot of life issues. White Tiger is an Indian movie about a young man who is, first of all, let me back up a little bit. Let me just rewind slightly because, um, India is so heavy on class, caste, and hierarchy. More so, in my opinion, than even here, because their caste system goes back for many, many centuries. All right. So long story short, young man is born to literally his life is born to be a servant. You are literally born, raised, and everything in your family to be a servant. And this young man becomes exactly that as he grows up. He becomes a servant to a very wealthy family in India who the son has experience living in the United States, but his father and extended family are all based in India. And when I say they treat this man like shit on a shoe, they really do. They use him as a footstool. They slap him up. They hit him, kick him, abuse him, verbally abuse him. Now, the younger folks who have the exposure to the West are slightly more kind to him. But when it comes down to it, they're all a part of the caste system, and it's very inherent and tied into tradition and cultural values and all that. But the way they treat this man ultimately backfires on them.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Actually, I really, really, really enjoyed that movie because I love a movie that actually make me think about things and how things are and how we have things here. Because in a sense, you can kind of tie it into how we're brought up. We get paid decent, but we still servants to the 1% with all the wealth. We actually serve them. So servitude is just part of just how we grow. And I don't know if it's how we grow, but how we are trained. Everybody's trained to do something. Because this guy was like really excited to be a servant. Like everybody's like excited. You're going to be a servant to the rich, which you could look at it. We'll look at it from our point of view over here and be like, yo, what's so exciting about that? Like, why are you excited to work for them? But when you have no jobs and jobs are very scarce, there's a lot of excitement around being a servant to the rich because things you probably, you're going to get leftover food. You're going to get treated in a way, even though with all of the mistreatment, you're probably going to get treated better than being in the slums of India. So, and that's what I got from it. I kind of was like, damn, it's bad. You want to grow up to be a servant. But at the same time, we're born and bred to be servants too. We're serving a hierarchy in a sense. Only thing here with capitalism, there's no limit on what you can actually become part of. With a lot of luck and hard work, you can become part of the 1% that has all the wealth here in America. So that's the major difference. And I'm not saying it can't happen in India, because at the end of that story, White Tiger, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but you'll see how things change. But it was so many ups and downs for this guy, man. It was like an emotional roller coaster for this guy. I don't know what you thought, so because he was just going. It was so many ups and downs. One minute he's happy, then he's sad.
Because you know what it is when you come from that extreme poverty and then you get the real hands-on experience with, because this man was a driver for a very wealthy and prominent family. He became a driver. So that meant he also lived on the premises and everything. And he became like this, like the redheaded stepchild of the family. He was mistreated, but his excitement was there because he was making way more money than he would have. He was able to send money back home to his family. He was able to support them and help them. So in one hand, it was a come up for him. And the other thing was he was smart enough to observe the ins and outs of what it took to be wealthy, because this wealthy family dealt a lot in corruption. And outside of the United States, bribery is a way of life for people, and it is here too, don't get me wrong. People act a fool here too. And just like Rick said, we are born to be servants too. If you go to public school, you are being fostered to become a worker. You are not being fostered to become an entrepreneur or a CEO. If you go to Montessori schools and things like that, you're being fostered to become a CEO. Anyway, my man in White Tiger really had that wake up call moment when he was like, wait a minute, these people be doing mad shenanigans and capers and BS, and they mistreat all of us who give them our heart, our soul, our lives. Like I said, they use this man as a literal footstool. Literally, he would be on his hands and knees, and the people put their feet up on his back like an ottoman. And he has that realization where it's like, wait a minute, I really don't have to take this. Like, I really don't. And it's unfortunate that, he's like the anomaly, because most people who come from extreme poverty and are raised to just be a certain level stay there. It's very rare that you have the one who's like, you know what? I don't have to do this. I really don't. And for him, when he has that moment of clarity that he doesn't have to be a servant, a footstool, verbally abused, taken advantage of, he not only has a come up, but he gives them their comeuppance. And that's what I love about this movie, because it is the tale of redemption, the tale of a wake up call, an epiphany. And like I said, he gave all the people who mistreated him and abused him their comeuppance. So yes, he had a come up and a comeuppance. And that's what I love about this movie. Love it. But again, it's true. Class in India is harsh, because it's true. If you're a Dravidian and you're one of the so-called black people in India, you're called an untouchable. And it's believed that even touching you will bring me bad luck and everything else, because you're literally blue-black skinned. And that's that's life for a lot of Indians in India, unfortunately.
Yeah. I kind of had a firsthand take on dealing with Indians, because I remember back in the day went into business with this guy named Mr. Singh, and we had the Samrat. That was the name of his restaurant, the Samrat, which was doing really bad, and we came in there and we turned it into a Southern cuisine type restaurant, and we had like open mics, all type stuff. Because he was behind in his bills, but these guys are so proud. They don't want you to feel like they're behind, but he was behind in the bill, and we caught everything up for him because doing our style of thing with it. But he still wanted to be in charge. He still wanted to be 100% in charge and show us that he was in charge, and that's how we end up dissolving the whole relationship with the business. He would rather us like not be in charge instead of him showing his power. And me and him used to butt heads like all the time. And I would tell him, like, I'm not your servant. I don't work for you. And he had this little guy in there named Cool Dip.
Yeah, he mistreated his white tiger.
He had this guy named Cool Dip. And Cool Dip, he wouldn't pay him right. And I was always paying Cool Dip. And Cool Dip would tell me everything he would say about us and stuff like that, And so we infiltrated his whole structure. He was messing with prostitutes. He was acting holy. He was messing with prostitutes. This guy was he had a gambling habit, always going to Atlantic City. It is just crazy. Yeah, I'm firing shots at Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh, fuck you still. But anyway, but yeah, White Tiger, this guy, I'm going to spoil it because he was the driver. He was the driver for this affluent family. And then, like, they out partying and he's driving. So the girl want to drive. She's like, oh, let me drive. She's driving. And then what happens? She's drunk and driving. And what most of the time always happen, an accident. So she hits some kid and kills him. And they flee the scene. So then all this stuff start coming back on this family. And they tell this guy, yeah, you was driving. They
They
just
didn't
telling
even
him.
tell him. They had him sign
They
that
like sign
document.
this paper.
Yeah.
You know, like basically saying your life ain't worth nothing. Ours is worth everything. Sign this paper. You was driving, and he's looking around like, what do you mean? I wasn't. You know, he's trying to say something. They just over talking. They not letting him say anything. It was crazy, and that's when he lost all respect for them, and things start turning kind of like in his favor once he said, caught the attitude of like, fuck you guys. You know, I'm here, but I'm here for me now.
You know, the thing is, and the guy, he didn't want to let the son's wife drive. He was trying to stand up for himself, but of course, even though they had the exposure to living in the United States, and understood that the way that they treated him and his family treated the white tiger was wrong. When it came down to it, they still used their privilege and everything else. And when they came to him and was like, yo, you know, hey, we got this paper here. They sat him down. They had some snacks and everything. And they was trying to be all nice.
But wasn't it the father that because wasn't it like the son and the wasn't the son and the daughter wasn't the son and the daughter like not really with it? Like wasn't somebody I know the son because he started drinking crazy after that. The son.
Yeah,
But he
he
was a
felt
dirtbag,
guilty, but
too.
he was a dirtbag. Exactly. He
But I know
felt
what
guilty,
you're
but when it came down to it, when he realized that, you know, the woman that he loved his wife,
Yeah.
like he really, really loved her. And when he realized that, you know, she could go to jail and get in trouble for this, he was like, F it, you know, my man can take the
She's
rap for it.
American. You forgot to use that
Yeah,
part. She's
she was
American.
really Americanized. Even though she was from India, she was Western all the way. So she realized, the wife realizes that, yo, they doing him dirty.
She didn't like the father.
She was a dirtbag too, though,
Yeah, she
because
was.
she knew what they were going to do,
She broke out.
and she left. But on her way out, she gives the white tiger $9,700. Not even 10,000. She's just like, here, take this, and she breaks out and leaves because she also is going to understand that her privilege could send her to jail. So she thinks paying him 9,700 American dollars like rights the wrong of him possibly being punished for killing a child that he didn't kill. So when he has that realization that these people don't consider him a part of the family, that they don't give a shit about him, he's like, you know what? It's a new day. And when you see how he starts to maneuver from all of his observations and all of the things he's learned along the way being a driver for them, he literally uses all of those rules to his advantage. And you just gotta love it. You gotta love a tale of redemption and of, you know, all these people who act holier than thou and are all sanctimonious and they all, you know, self-righteous, and they're all pieces of shit. And you watch them get their comeuppance, and it's a good thing. And I'd be happy about that kind of thing because it's like the little man, you know, in the end, the little man got his, and he's able to give everybody the finger, and he never forgot where he came from. And that's what just made this a tale of greatness. Because in the end, he actually becomes the wealthy man, but he doesn't become a dirtbag.
Yeah, he was actually a good guy. He was taking care of people, but you know, it's the question to you guys is like, what do you feel about serving? Like, do you feel like you were bred to be a servant, or is you bred to stand on your own? Because everybody cannot be a boss. Like I know they preach it online every day. You can be a boss. You know, everybody's a king and everybody's a CEO. Everybody's at the top, and everybody's not at that because you only start at the top if you're born underneath somebody that was already at the top, where you just had a silver spoon in your mouth from day one, and you're just detached from like reality, what the struggle is, and you know stuff like that. But do you feel like we are bred to be servants? That's my question to everybody, because I honestly I feel like that. It takes a small, because it just shows, this movie also just shows you that just because you're rich or come from a affluent family doesn't mean that you're smart. And I think we always take money as if you got money, that you're all of a sudden